Hey, welcome back. Technical Brad here. All right, so what we're working on now is we have our, of course, our David Brown and our Freeman loader. And what I've done is taken the bucket off of it, obviously. And last fall, I welded up this apparatus here. I wanted to put a conversion on it so that we could do the quick attach system on this, as well as our bucket. So what I did is I ordered a couple of these quick attach mechanisms here. These were off eBay. I got these. They were it was $82 for the pair. So it's thick quality steel there and pretty hefty. They weigh 40 pounds, both of them together. A little flimsy there, a little loose, not flimsy, but we'll need to tighten this stuff up once we get our apparatus built. But this thing ended up, this is too big, so we're gonna have to cut this down. I'm gonna reuse my pieces here that have my pins in them. These are 1-inch diameter pins, and I've already drilled that all out and machined that and put the sleeves on there and everything. So I'm gonna try to reuse these, but I'm gonna have to cut the top piece off and the bottom piece off to get these to fit on there, and then there will be another piece that goes in between here. Take a gander back here at our bucket. Normally these kits are designed so you would cut your tabs off of your existing bucket, and then you would weld these onto those attachments that I just showed you, and then there's a flat plate that would mount onto the existing back of the bucket, and then it would become quick attach too. My bucket is extremely round, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to leave the bucket as is from the factory. There again, this is a Freeman loader with a large bucket. It's a very heavy bucket, and so we're going to leave our bucket alone, and we're going to make these attachments so that they will fit on here. So I'm going to show you what I've done. Is I've got some repurposed angle iron here that I'm using. This is 2x3, or no, 2x2.5, puts down there. Yeah, 2x2.5 is what this angle iron is. And so I'm cutting it now. I cut it into 15-inch lengths, and then I've got to cut my edges here to fit, to weld into here and up here at the top. So I've got one of these made here, and I'm just going to show you quickly the process of how I am doing this, and maybe we'll show a little video on cutting it and everything. So we'll see if we can't do a little something here, if that turns out okay. And basically what I'm doing here, I got my piece of metal that's already cut to length. There again, repurposed. Now, my problem on the loader, my main frame, which is where the bucket hooks onto and your cylinders are, it's too wide. These quick attaches, they're just shy of 44 inches is what your bucket or whatever attachment you're putting on there, that's what the mount is on it. Mine, obviously, like I said, is over that. It's about 44 5/8. So I'm using this angle iron, and what I'm going to have to do is this one's going to extend out this side, and then we'll have one on the inside, and this will weld to the apparatus that I already have made. So all I'm doing here is I'm just lining this thing up with a couple spacers underneath it to get it to the right height. And once I get it to where I want it, turn that around. That's got a booger on it. That one does too. So we'll get this just as close as we can. Like I say, we're welding, so we do have wiggle room. And we'll mark it with a pencil. And I'll mark this with the pencil. And then we're going to clamp this in the vise, and we're going to cut these angles off. And we'll show you that here in just a minute. Okay, now here we are back at the bench here. We're going to clamp this thing in the vise. What I did to cut this angle iron, this is 5/16 thick angle iron. It is repurposed from a grain elevator that we had out here on the farm. And what I'm doing is I'm using my Sawzall, electric Sawzall, with a metal blade. This is the 1-inch metal blade, and then we have the 3/4 inch metal blade. My experience with these blades, this 1-inch makes much more accurate cuts, much straighter lines than the 3/4. The 3/4 tends to twist on you as it goes through, and you end up with a crooked line to where this one holds more true and straight, and you get a straighter cut. So I much prefer this one. This is a short one. This is a 6-inch. They also come 9-inch, I believe it is, which is great for doing a larger size steel. But those are your two blades that you can use. This works really good. I cut all of this with this one blade. Now it's dull now, it needs to be replaced, but you know, for the money, I mean, you can't beat it. Obviously, if you had a bandsaw or some other kind of apparatus, that would be great. I'm going to use the angle grinder here with a cutoff wheel that is just about ground through, almost too small to use. I want to use it to cut these angles off. So we'll just do one here real quick. Clamp him in the vise. Eye protection, of course. Gloves because it's cold out. Set the other way, clamping down. So, now that we've done that, we'll see what we've got here. Oh, deal down here. Now, these are kind of, let me get that up there. There we go. You can see that's going to fit in there pretty decent. Once we weld that all up, we've got a hell of a gap there. Oh, we're not lined up there. We pull that back. We're going to have to, yeah. Sit you down there. Yeah. These plates, they don't really line up real well. We always end up with a little bit sloppier. Thank God we're welding, huh? So yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up a little bit. We'll see if we can't get them to fit a little tighter. What we can do is grind this bottom edge here. We can grind it down. Flatten it out a little bit and it'll fit in there better. You can see the other one there, how it turned out. It's not too terribly bad. I've got to grind this flat edge here down right there. We got to angle that so that it'll mount up to there. But yeah, so anyway, that's how we're doing that. That's one plate down. I got 4 pieces on each one, and we'll get the other one going here, and yeah, we'll turn back in. All right, hey, welcome back. Okay, so we've got our metal brackets cut out here, made out of angle iron, as we talked about earlier, and we've got our angles cut on both ends to receive our angles on our plates. What we're going to do now is I'm going to clean these up a bit. I'm just going to use some wire brushes, and we're going to clean a lot of this rust off here. The reason to do that, we're just going to get them cleaned up so that we can weld on them. You want to have a clean surface to weld to. That's why I've already ground these edges down here where we're going to be welding. We'll just clean the rest of this up so that we can, once we get it welded on, we can paint it. We'll get these cleaned up. We'll have to get our pieces here marked where we're going to weld them as well along these edges, and then we can get that paint off of there so that we can have a good metal surface to weld to. So yeah, that's what we're doing out here today. So we're gonna get set up. We're gonna use a couple of wire brushes here and clean these things up. Alright, so there we go. A little bit of the worst of the rust off of there, clean it up a little bit. Get our surfaces, we'll get them shined up. This area here, of course, will weld to our black mounting place we have over yonder. And then this area will be welded to our loader attachment we have over there. So that's pretty much it. All we're doing here, we got 3 more of them to go. So we'll go ahead and do that and then check back in a little later. All right, hey, welcome back. Okay, so we're working on our Freeman loader conversion here. And as you can see, I've cut the bottom of the frame that I had made off. I left the top attached to it. The reason is it's keeping everything in alignment. We're perfectly square from corner to corner. So I want to leave it this way until we get the mounts put on the front of it. We'll weld those on, all that goes with that. And then we'll weld a piece going across from side to side to re-stabilize everything before we take this upper piece off. And what we're getting ready to do here is we're getting ready to tack weld these brackets that we made on to our brackets, our attachment plates. So I've removed the handle mechanism and all that so that I can get to it and got it set up here. And I'm going to go ahead and tack this all on here, and then we'll see about positioning them on the actual loader itself. The problem I'm getting into is I'm not going to have the full dump capability that I have with the bucket, and that's because we're going to hit, as this swings back around, back in here is where we're going to hit at. And so I think we'll get this welded up here, this tacked on here, and then we'll be able to look at that and say, okay, we want it, how far, it depends on how far up and down we move it, but I don't want to be too far down, because I got to leave this mechanism here because of our pin for our cylinders there. And then that leaves this part sticking out. Now we're going to remove this bracket. We'll cut this off somewhere in here. But still, I don't want too much material sticking up above that, because it's going to get it interfere with seeing, which we may not be able to see very well anyway because of the tractor itself being in our way. But Beckley, what you doing, old buddy? I know, we're back out in the barn working again, aren't we? Middle of February. Got some nice weather here, so that's good. So yeah, we're going to get started on that, do a little welding here. Okay, hey, welcome back. All right, we've got our first one done laying over here. It's just cooling out here in the little bit of breeze we've got here. You can kind of see one of the welds there. Not too bad of a welding job for an old guy, I guess, you know. I did, however, get the first piece off when I had it all lined up, measured out and everything. I must have bumped it or something, because the top of it is moved in farther than what the bottom of it is. But it'll work anyway. So anyway, I got this one. I got the inside piece welded on. There again, not too bad. Not too bad of welds there. And I got the outside piece mounted, lined up and everything. What I'll do is I'll tack each end of it. I know I said I was going to tack these things, so I just decided to go ahead and weld them. For one thing, I can't get back into there to weld that back there underneath all that angle iron. So I decided to go ahead and just weld these things up. I don't think there's going to be any issues with them. Hopefully not. So anyway, we got this lined up. I'm just using my magnets here. I got a couple of small ones that I've used to set inside. I put it inside the inner one there to kind of line things up and hold it in place while I tack it. I know some guys aren't real big on using those magnets, but I find it useful to have that extra set of hands there to help me guide the thing around. So yeah, we're using the old Tombstone Lincoln welder. I got it set on 115 amps is what I'm setting it on to weld. I got these rods. I'm not sure what the number is on these rods. They're not, it doesn't say on there. Doesn't say on there anyway. Looks like, yeah, but they're not overly large rods. These are the ones that I've had out here. I've done tons of welding with it, and it's working out pretty well with this project. My steel here, these are 5/16, and that's, well, they claim 300,000, so it's over a quarter of an inch. You know, whatever, close enough. But it's welding up quite nicely. This one is welded up quite nicely here. And you can see how it's kind of pitted our paint on there. Actually, the paint held on quite well, all things considered. I was kind of surprised with that. Yeah, there's the other weld. There again, not too bad. Gone through quite a few rods already, and we'll burn through a few more. And once we get these on, then we'll be able to line everything up over on our loader part that's mounted up there. So we'll tune in for that.